Chapter 22. When the high priest climbs over the wall, I'm so afraid I dig my claws deep into his shoulder. Too deep, he curses. I'm greatly relieved, as I'm sure he is, when we're finally on the pavement heading up Fifth Avenue. But I feel cold and ask him to put me under his coat, where I soon fall asleep, comforted by the warmth and overcome by the day's events. A loud clanging wakes me up. I yawn, stretch, then stick my head out. "Oh, Rappahaman, I have missed you," the high priest says. "We have come a long way while you slept. The park is far behind us." "Where do you think the sound is coming from?" "From there," he says, pointing at a large building, very different from the rectangular-shaped buildings we've been seeing all day. "I think it is Ezekiel's cathedral." As we walk towards the building, the clanging gets louder. It seems to beckon us, as if we were grazing animals in the field being called back to the stable for the night. Then it stops. We come to a wide stairway that seems to have as many steps as the one at the Met. We're not the only visitors. There are footprints in the snow covering the steps. I look up to the top of the cathedral, astonished. "It's a pyramid!" I cry, feeling for a brief moment I'm back in Egypt. "No, it is only a pyramid shape," the high priest says when he also looks up. "The people who built the cathedral obviously studied our civilization and integrated aspects of our architecture into its design." He climbs the steps, and we find ourselves in front of the central portal, the one Ezekiel called the Portal of Paradise. On either side are tall, narrow white statues of gaunt men wrapped in long robes. "Very different from Egyptian sculptures," he remarks, "quite appealing in their simplicity. I wonder which statues Ezekiel worked on." Set in the arch are two giant metal doors engraved with scenes of what seem to be historical events. They're closed and apparently locked. Visitors are using a smaller entrance to the right of the main one. Music and singing, like nothing I've ever heard before, come from inside the cathedral. "Rappahaman, I think this is what Ezekiel meant by choir. It is very pleasing." As we enter, I draw my head down inside the high priest's coat so I can't be seen. The interior, vast and dark with massive columns supporting a lofty ceiling, reminds me of an Egyptian temple. The high priest is overwhelmed. His breathing has become shallow, his steps small and hesitant. We pass between rows and rows of benches as we walk towards the only source of light, a cluster of candles. I see an altar ahead. In the sanctuary, people are singing, and men in white robes, probably the priests, stand among them. Unlike the sanctuaries in our temple, this one is open to everyone. A low gate divides it from the rest of the interior. In front of it are several chairs, only a few of which are occupied. The high priest sits down and folds his arms across his chest. His coat presses on my ears, but I can still hear the music and singing. When it stops, a priest walks toward the altar as if to perform a ritual. But instead, he goes up to a stand with a book on it and, facing us, reads out loud, his words muffled by the high priest's coat. Then the music resumes, getting louder and louder. I hear the thunder that shook the earth the night my pharaoh died. I see him lying on his bed, his arms lifeless at his sides, the palms of his hands turned up, his dress, white as alabaster, clinging to his inert body like mortuary linens. As tears begin to flow from my eyes, a warm hand caresses my head. The high priest has heard me sobbing and is comforting me. I close my eyes, and for a brief moment, his hand becomes the hand of my king. The cathedral has gone quiet, and I open my eyes to see the priest going around with a long snuffer to put the candles out. Electric lights come on. It's over. The high priest unfolds his arms, gets up, and we move toward the entrance. "Rappahaman," he says when we're outside. "It is as if a veil has been lifted. It is thanks to Ezekiel. He told us to visit the cathedral. When the priest was reading from the book, I know where the lost papyrus is." "Where?" "Be patient, my friend. You will know in due time." I should know better. Of course he's not going to tell me and risk my telling Elena first when we see her. I'm cold, I say, feeling the drop in temperature. Do you mind adjusting your coat? Are we near home, or is that a secret too? We are close, he replies, ignoring my sarcasm. We are on 110th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. His steps are more confident now. It stopped snowing, but the pavement is covered, except for a narrow pathway made by people who have preceded us up 110th Street. It's different from Fifth Avenue. No park, and similar-looking buildings on both sides. Many of the windows are lighted, and I imagine families sitting around the dinner table, as we do in Elena's kitchen. Families enjoying a good meal and sharing it with their cats and dogs who sit on the floor by their legs. Broadway, the high priest announces. An apt name. The street is broad. There's even a strip of land that divides it. On both sides, cars and other vehicles are slowly making their way. I've heard about elephants. The vehicle that stopped to let people in at the front and out the back is as big as one, and when it finally moves, it's just as slow. I see yellow cars, taxis. A horrible question occurs to me. Why didn't we just take a yellow car back home when we got lost? When we cross Broadway, the high priest quickens his step, and by the time we reach Riverside Drive, he's walking so fast he almost slips as he turns left. 109th, he yells. A few seconds later, 108th. As my heart starts to race, so does he, towards the house where all the windows are lit, and the lone figure of a woman is standing on the doorstep, arms wide open. He flies into them. I can't hear what they say to each other because my head is flattened against Elena's stomach by his powerful embrace. We enter the house as one big feline human lump, bound together by unbound happiness. Once in the library, Elena and the high priest let go of each other. He takes off his coat, collapsing onto the sofa with me attached, while she goes to the fireplace and has a small fire burning almost immediately. When Elena takes a good look at the high priest, she's upset. Your shoes are sopping wet, she says. You'll surely catch something. Let me take them off. As Elena bends down to remove his shoes, our eyes meet, and I give her the most pathetic look a cat has ever given a human. Oh, Puss in Boat, she says, forgetting about the shoes. You look so uncomfortable. She frees me from the straps and lifts me into her arms, the high priest looking none too pleased. Elena, he asks, what happened to you after our flight from the Met? I wanted to run after you, but the guards detained me, she says, standing in front of the fireplace and stroking my back. Someone told them I was with you. I had no choice but to tell the truth. Of course, not the whole truth, but a piece of it. That my friend had smuggled a cat into the Met by hiding it under his coat. I was later scolded by the director. He told me that if it weren't for my father's reputation as an Egyptologist, I'd be barred from the Met for life. But enough about me. Gato Haman, tell me what happened to you two out there. He finishes the story without having mentioned I almost choked to death and then blacked out from the cold, so I describe these events in great detail. Oh, my poor, poor Rappa Haman, Elena says repeatedly, rubbing her face against mine. From the corner of my eye, I catch the high priest's dirty look. But he's a clever one. He knows how to get her undivided attention. Elena, he announces, I know where the papyrus is. She drops me like a hot potato and runs over to him. Where? She asks. After a silence which seems eternal, he puts his hand on her heart. Here, he says. What do you mean? Elena and I ask in unison. You told us you heard your father read aloud from a papyrus, he says, looking at her. That's true, but I didn't understand a word of it. No matter. What matters, my dear, is that you heard it. But I don't remember it. You will. How? When the priest in the cathedral was reading, he explains, I recalled a ritual my mentor taught me when I was a young priest. I never had occasion to use it, and I eventually forgot about it. Until today, that is. The ritual is called the Entering. It enables a priest to retrieve another person's lost memories. That sounds like hypnotism, Elena says. Hypnotism? Yes, a hypnotist induces a sleep-like state in someone, then asks questions that help the person recall an incident that has been forgotten. But it doesn't always work. The ritual I speak of is very different. The priest conjures up a person's lost memory and enters it to observe it from within, and the entering is said to never fail. But it is dangerous. If the priest were to remain in the memory for too long, he could become trapped there. Even if you get the spell, I say, feeling compelled to speak, we may not be able to return to Egypt. You might be taking a great risk for nothing. No, not for nothing. It is a chance to bring our dead king back to life. I am willing to take the risk. I must take it. What about Elena? I ask. Is she also taking a risk? Of course not, he says, giving me a dirty look. I would never put her in danger. Elena, are you ready to begin? He asks, walking over to her and taking her left hand. Yes, she answers. He brings her left hand to his heart and places his left hand on her heart. Relax and look into my eyes. They remain as still as statues. I look at the clock. 5 minutes to midnight. Minutes more pass. Nothing happens. I'm getting cold even though the fire is going strong. Bong, bong, bong. 11 times the clock strikes. 11 times my heart jumps. On the 12th bong, I hear a cry. Help! Elena and the high priest haven't stirred. Help! The cry's coming from the floor above. I put my fear aside, go down on my fours, and run upstairs, taking the steps 2 at a time to the second-floor landing. Help! It's coming from the bedroom next to Elena's. The door's closed, and I have to stand erect to reach the handle, which is as cold as snow. I take it in my 2 paws, turn it, and push the door wide open. The room is bathed in white light. A man stands by a bed on which a beautiful woman, with her hair loose on the pillow, lies sleeping. A little girl stands at the foot of the bed, looking terrified. Another man, for the love of Bastet, the high priest, is beside her, holding her hand. I take a step forward. Do not enter, Rapahamen, he cries, or you will be trapped too. How can I help you? Find a way to pull me out. Grab my tail. I turn around, go down on all fours, and dig my claws deep into the hall carpet. I feel the high priest grab my tail with one hand. Goodbye, little Elena, he cries. He now has both hands on my tail. I pray to Bastet for strength and inch my way further into the hall, slowly dragging him with me. My claws are about to break, and my tail feels as if it's being torn from my rump. Just as the pain becomes unbearable, the high priest lets go. I turn, expecting to see him behind me, but he isn't there. No one else is in the room either. The curtains are drawn and the furniture is covered with thick cloths. Rapahamen, the high priest calls from the library. I run, stumbling and sliding down the stairs, all the way to where a happy reunion, the second of the day, awaits me. He and Elena are embracing. I jump up on her shoulder, throw my forelegs around her neck, and begin licking her face. Much to his embarrassment, I get a kiss from the high priest meant for Elena. I lean over to him and add to his embarrassment by returning his kiss with a lick. Puss in boat, my dear, she says, kissing me all over the snoot. Gatohamen has retrieved the spell. I heard Elena's father speak the words, he says. He mispronounced some of them. I must get some sleep. He adds, it has been an exhausting day. I jump down to the floor, and as she does every night, Elena goes around the library switching the lamps off. The high priest and I wait for her as usual, and the 3 of us climb the stairs to our bedrooms. Once the high priest is in bed, he's fast asleep. But before I can sleep, I must attend to my sore tail. As I lick it, I begin to succumb to the soporific effect of his snoring, and before I know it, I'm sleeping. I dream of the pharaoh on his chariot entering Menphi, of Ezekiel and his cat going fishing, of the cathedral, and of Elena's mother lying on her deathbed, serene and beautiful.